All right, guys. November 3rd, 4:30 p.m. Thank you guys for joining me. This is the first rendition of Abs and Core with Luis. My name is Luis Morales, Health Fitness Specialist with Exos at Autodesk. Before we get started, just a couple things that I want to say, just kind of my views on kind of the abs and core stuff. The core, muscles of the core are widely considered, mainly to be kind of those six-pack muscles that we see, mainly in the front of our stomach. Most people consider obliques, but it's actually the musculature that wraps all the way around our bodies and also kind of extends past the hips. So my definition of the core starts right here at the bottom of the sternum and goes all the way down past the glutes, kind of mid-hamstring. So we're going to be doing a lot of work that is both static and dynamic to kind of build up all the muscles in that area, but we're also going to be using arms, legs, and our head neck area as well. So we're not going to just limit it just to crunches or just to planks or stuff like that. Today's class is going to be a little more basic, if you will. We're going to start with some basic stuff, and we're going to progress up to some more advanced stuff, and then we're going to end it with kind of a nice burning finisher, if you will. So let's go ahead and get started with the warm-up. And the warm-up is super important because we want to be able to activate these muscles. We want to be able to find these muscles. And one of the things I also think is super important is having the ability to breathe while we're using our core and exercising. That's something that a lot of people either, you just hold your breath, or it's kind of tough to keep those muscles going as we breathe. So let's start on our backs here on our space. What we're going to try and get into is just a little bit of pelvic tilting, kind of using the muscles of the core to kind of find the pelvic tilt and where, an optimal position is. So lying here on the back and knees bent, want to make sure we put our hands on our hips because we can kind of feel where our pelvis is at. I want you guys to try and puff your chest out, bring your chest up towards the ceiling. Take a nice big inhale, deep breath, and then exhale all the way until you have no air left in your body. And you'll find your lower back flattening all the way out against the ground. You might feel your glutes squeeze a little bit here. And this is the main position that we want to really remember and take a hold of. So let's do a few more inhales. So big inhale, let the chest puff up towards the ceiling. Exhale, go ahead and flatten that back. Pretend like you got a water balloon under your low back and you just want to crush it as hard as you can. We're activating these core muscles. All right, one more here, guys. Good job, you guys. So as you may have noticed, exhaling as long and as hard as possible will really get all the muscles kind of around our rib cage to cinch up, really squeezing all that air out of our lungs. And that is kind of what we want to maintain as we exercise. And so I know it's kind of be hard to be like, well, how do I keep all those muscles cinched up and inhale at the same time? That's something that does take time and a little bit of practice, but I'm very confident everyone who joins this class will be able to ascertain that. So let's get up into the second part of the warm up here. And we're just going to kind of do a pretty common flow that I usually do in my other classes. That's the dynamic runner stretch. So go ahead and try and touch the toes here, guys. Bend the knees a little bit if you have to. And then when you're ready, go ahead and walk those hands out and we can find our nice kind of high plank position. So let's hang out here just for a moment. Again, try and find that place where the pelvis is tucked, the glutes are squeezed, and we're exhaling out all the way. Finding that nice kind of neutral spot where all those muscles are kind of cinched, squeezing the air out. And then we can try and inhale a little bit too. Might feel like inhaling into a small plastic container, but that's okay. That's what it should feel like. All right, next up, let's take a big lunge with that left foot. Try and bring it to the outside of the left hand here while keeping that back leg nice and straight. Go ahead and reach with that left hand up towards the ceiling here. Just opening up the whole body here, letting the hips feel the stretch as well. We are going to be using those hips quite a lot today. Go ahead and bring that left hand back down to the ground. Bring that left foot back, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So big lunge with the right. Turn, reach up for the ceiling. Squeeze the quad to make that back leg nice and straight still. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and return that right hand to the ground. Move that left hand, or right foot, I meant to say, back to meet the left. And let's hang out here in the high plank just for one more second. Another big deep breath. Make sure those glutes are nice and squeezed. Push yourself up into a downward dog, and let's try and walk those hands back in towards those feet as close as we can. Bend the knees a little bit if you have to. And then we can roll ourselves back up. Awesome work, you guys, awesome work. Okay, so for the class today, I have kind of a 4x3 complex planned out. We are gonna be working in time intervals and not reps. So I'll be telling you guys when we're gonna switch to the next exercise. I am gonna be giving you guys cues along the way instead of explaining every single movement in detail here at the beginning of the class. So we will have the rest periods for me to kind of explain what's coming up next. And just to kind of prepare. So we are going to stay on the same track. Basically, we're going to start with kind of one base movement. We're going to progress with that base movement 2 more times, move on to the next one. We're going to do that for 4 different movements. And so those movements are the basic glute bridge, plank, the supine kind of tabletop position. So that's kind of laying on the back, legs up in the air with the knees bent. And then the primal press. And so that's the opposite, where we're on hands and knees and we bring the knees up a little bit off the ground. So I'll be giving you guys cues as we go through it. We're gonna do 45 on, 15 off. So that's gonna equal about 12 minutes. We're not gonna be doing one particular thing twice. And then for the finisher, if we have ample time, we're gonna do a nice Tabata, which is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, little primal press complex there at the end before our cool down. So without further ado, I'm gonna get the clock set up and then we can start to move through some dynamic and static core stuff. All right, you guys, and so we're gonna be starting with the bridge stuff. So let's go ahead and start on our back in our space. And what we're gonna start with particularly, let's get it going, is a bridge isometric. So what we wanna be careful of, go ahead and exhale, find that spot where your low back is pressing into the ground. Keep those toes up, squeeze those glutes, and let's just hang out with our hips up in the air here. Now this is a really good one to kind of feel how the core and the hips can be related. Now if you have tight hip flexors, you might be feeling some resistance here with the core super, super tight. So we will be stretching out the hip flexors at the end today. Another thing I want to instill in you guys again is the breathing. So we're trying to have our glutes nice and squeezed, core nice and squeezed. We're trying to be able to breathe at the same time here. It took me a while to figure this one out, and it's still a learning process to this day. So don't feel bad if you guys have to take a little break, reset, and find that good position. I'm totally on with that as we go on. All right, let's take it down for a second. Let's rest. All right, guys, a little short on time here. The next one, we're going to be bringing ourselves up into the bridge, and we're going to do the bridge marching. So now we got the glute squeezed. Bring one leg up at a time with that knee bent. Bring the other one, or bring that one down, and then the other one up. Good job, you guys. Good job. Keep that core nice and tight. Make sure those heels are driving down extra hard when you pick that opposite leg up. That'll help us resist any kind of crazy rotation of the hips or the spine here. Now about 10 seconds left. Good job, guys. Big exhales, big exhales. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Okay, next one's going to be really similar, but instead we're going to be extending one leg out at a time. So basically squeezing that quad, pointing the toes away from us. Let's get it going. 3, 2, 1. Come up into that bridge first. We're going to kick one leg out, bring it back in. So we're moving at the knee here, really trying to resist any rotation of the hips here, guys. Big glute squeeze. Don't forget those exhales. Take it nice and slow too. And don't be afraid to let those hips down and reset if you feel yourself coming out of position here. We want to make sure that our back muscles are not taking the brunt of this, so that we can support ourselves through those glute muscles and those core muscles. Good work, you guys. Take a little break for a second, refine that. Good posterior pelvic tilt. A few seconds left. 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, guys, good job. The next one coming up is going to be the plank. So we can start by either doing elbows or on the hands, or we're just going to be holding that static plank. All right, guys, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. All right, you guys, it's important to note in the plank here that we also want to make sure that our hips are never sagging kind of below the shoulders. If they're below the shoulders, that's going to put a little undue stress on our spines, and no matter how tight your core is, spines are not really going to like it. So let's go ahead and try and find that place where the hips are nice and even with the shoulders, and attempt to breathe through it. This one's tough. This can really feel like we're slowing time down, but we only have less than 15 seconds to go. Try that breathing, guys. Good work. 5 seconds. And time. Beautiful. All right, now we got that one static plank out of the way. Next, we're going to be up on the hands here, guys, doing the plank with the shoulder tap. So we're going to try and resist a little bit of rotation here. You can also have the feet a little bit wider apart with this one. Let's get it going. So my feet are wide apart here. Glutes are squeezed. Hips can be a little lower depending on the size of your body. We want to make sure that those glutes are squeezed and we're nice and supported. You might notice you're shifting your weight a little bit. Be conscious and keep that breathing going. Tapping opposite shoulders here. Good work, you guys, good work. And about 15 seconds left. Good work, you guys, good work. 5 seconds. And relax. Very nice, nicely done, guys. Okay, last plank variation today is going to be something that's probably familiar to you if you've been to one of our classes, and that is the plank to pike. So we're going to be up here in the high plank again, pushing the hips up into the air, and then bringing them back down to that neutral spot. All right, let's get it going. Really use those shoulders, and then make sure the hips are not coming back too low. Want to make sure we can train ourselves to find that spot with a squeeze in our main abdominals, the ones in front, and that cinch around our kind of lower back area. Be nice and tight along with the glutes. We want to make sure that that lower spine is not coming out of neutral. We want to resist any kind of crazy extension in this case, and in other cases, flexion. Almost done, one more. And time. Nicely done, guys, nicely done. Okay, moving on to our next section, and that is laying on our back with that tabletop position I mentioned earlier. So, first thing we're gonna be doing, legs up like this, knees are staying bent. We're gonna be tapping our heels alternating. Let's get it going. This is a great way to test the core and kind of find out where the core movement or the core stability is at. If I'm training someone, I'm going to put a towel under their low back. And if I can pull the towel out without any resistance, it means the core isn't pressing the low back into the ground enough. So if you guys are having trouble, visualize me right there, trying to pull a towel out or your mat out from under your back. Really use that exhale, guys. This is a great way to dissociate hip movement from lower back and core movement. Good job, guys. Almost done. We got 5 seconds. And time. Beautiful. All right, guys. Next up is going to be the dead bug. So you can either keep extending the legs or you can keep them nice and bent like we just did with the heel taps. But we're going to go ahead and add that opposite arm movement in. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get those legs up. And remember, we're moving opposite arm, opposite leg here. So I'm trying to extend my lower legs, give myself a little bit of a challenge. They don't have to come and touch the ground. I want to make sure that I'm really solid to that core area. And again, imagine that towel analogy. Do not let me pull that towel out. Also helps to exhale when you're bringing the arm and leg back into the center. Good work, you guys, good work. We want to make sure no part of that back is coming up off the ground here. How about 5 seconds? And time. Beautiful. All right, guys, the last one's going to be kind of difficult. We're going to be extending the legs. And again, same thing. Don't let me pull the towel out. What we're going to be doing is some scissor kicks with our arms held statically up. So let's get that going. Get those arms up off the ground. Legs are extended. Just as long as you can keep that low back on the ground. So if they're up high, that's all right. Want to make sure that that low back is on the ground. That's more important than anything here. We're just trying to flutter those legs a little bit, keep them nice and straight, and then take a little break when you need to. If you feel that form really slipping, that's all right. We're just kind of at the beginning of this core journey. Go ahead and give yourselves a little break, and then let's get back into it. Good work, you guys, good work. We got 10 seconds left here, and basically this is a nice hollow exercise. We're gonna be getting into those a lot as time goes on. And time. Beautiful. All right, guys. Next up, one of my personal favorites, the quadruped plank, aka the primal press. We're going to be pretty much opposite, hands and knees here. All right, let's let those knees come up, push down into the ground with those toes. So we're just toes and hands here. All right, guys. And as you can see here, my body, lots of 90 degrees here. The body loves 90-degree angles. We're just trying to find kind of the nice happy medium between weight through the toes and weight through the hands to support us. This one's tough on the hip flexors. I'm sure you guys are feeling it in the quads. We got about 15 seconds left, so let's keep those heavy exhales going. And time. Awesome, guys. You can let those knees down. Okay, the next one up, we're going to be doing some taps, and we're going to be tapping, trying to tap the opposite shoulder like we were at the plank earlier. So we're going to try and resist some rotation here, guys. Let's try it out. 45 seconds. So first thing, find that good primal press position. Knees up about an inch up off the thing, and then tapping opposite shoulder. This one's tough. You might notice some weight shift happening. That's all right. Want to make sure that the hips aren't doing anything funny. The spine, you don't feel any kind of rotation at all. Take your time here. Good work, you guys, good work. Got some advanced primal press movements coming up at the end if we have some time. Almost done here with this round. And time. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, guys. Next one is going to be very similar. I'm going to do primal press, but again, legs are going to be moving this time. So what we're going to be doing is extending, basically kicking one leg out back, activating that glute. Let's finish strong here. All right, and go. So bring those knees up, kick one leg out, bring it back in, place that toe, kick the other leg out, bring it back in, place that toe. Good work, you guys. Want to really feel that glute squeeze. Make sure that lower back isn't doing anything because you extend that leg. We want to be really activated through the core. Keeping that pelvis tucked. Good work, you guys. Less than 15 seconds. Good work. 5 seconds, you guys. Finish strong here. And time. Oh, good work, you guys. We're cooking. All right. So we do have a little bit of time left. I do want to try just one round of this primal press stuff. We'll go 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off for a minute or two. It's going to be very similar to what we were just doing, hands and knees with that primal press. Okay. All right, guys, so let's find that position one more time. And what we're going to do now is tap our toes on the ground. Now this is going to be extremely hard on the opposite quad. So watch me for a second and let's try it out. So I'm up here, I'm tapping my left toes. My hip is having to resist the rotation. Other leg is pushing down hard. Try it out. 5 seconds. And relax. Ooh. All right. Got a few seconds to rest. Let's try it on the other side. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. 20 seconds here. Tapping the other side. You want to make sure that those hips aren't dipping to one side, really. You want to be pressing hard with those opposite toes. It's an exercise I learned from rehabbing my own legs, believe it or not. And time. Oh man, that was tough. Okay guys, last one, then we'll cool down for a sec. It's gonna be very similar to our very last movement with the primal press, how we were kicking our leg out back. This time, instead of straightening our leg, we're gonna keep it bent at that 90-degree angle. So it's gonna be a challenge for us to keep our spine and the front core that wraps around here really, really solid so that spine stays in place. All right, guys, watch me for a moment and then we'll get it going. All right, so I'm up with my knees here, activating the glute, have that sole of my foot come up towards the ceiling here. Want to make sure we're not bending the spine. Good work, you guys, good work. 3, 2, 1. Nicely done, guys, nicely done. Okay, that's something challenging, no doubt. All right, now seems like a good place for us to kind of pause, cool down, bring our heart rates down a little bit, and get ready to end this class. Okay, guys, so first thing I want to go into for our cool down is a nice half kneeling hip flexor stretch. Most likely probably seen me do this before. I love it so much, we'll never get enough of it for as long as I live. So let's put one knee down on the ground here. Take some nice deep breaths. Go ahead and find that glute. Squeeze that glute, push the hips forward a little bit, find those abs. Once you find that good stretch the front of the hip there, let's go ahead and do some belly breaths. Try and make that tissue in there expand. One of the best ways to stretch a muscle, if you can get any part of the body, you know, with the inhale to expand, it really forces that tissue to kind of relax, melt like butter sometimes. Beautiful. All right, let's switch it on over to the other side. Go through that checklist one more time, guys. Pelvic, pelvis tucked, glute squeezed, pushing the hips forward a little bit and finding those abs to make sure the pelvis is really tucked back or rotated back. Good work, you guys. Let's go ahead and switch it back over. I want to spend a little more time than usual on this stretch. Super important that these muscles get addressed and that we have some time to just let our bodies come back to homeostasis. All right, guys, find that checklist one more time. Glute squeeze, abs pulled in, pushing the hips forward a little bit if you need to. And then breathe. All right, guys, one more time. Let's switch it back over. I got one more thing for us. So squeeze that glute, squeeze those abs. I know we've been doing a lot of that, but find that medium stretch in the front of the hip here. And then breathe right into it. Try and expand that belly to lower belly as much as possible. Nicely done, guys. Go ahead and come on out of that, relax a little bit. All right, and for the final thing, let's go ahead and get into the shin box position. Now, if you're not familiar with this, constitutes one leg being externally rotated, laying on the ground out front here, knee and ankle, hopefully on the ground. Then the other leg out to the side, same thing, everything bent at a nice 90-degree angle. As you can see, my foot's kind of pointed behind me here. I know this is a difficult position to sit in, and we don't have to sit perfectly in it. Go ahead and put your hand of that same leg that's in front, same side over here, and kind of support yourself over to the side. What we're going to do is a little rotation, help loosen up all the muscles that we just used, both around the hips and in the axial skeleton or abdominal area. I'm going to go ahead and take my hand here and thread it through this gap, rotate as much as I can, taking a big deep breath, feeling everything stretch, exhaling, and then rotating back to center. Let's do this a couple times. Good job. One more time on this side, guys. Nicely done. Okay, let's go ahead and flip it on around. Other leg is going to come in front. Previous leg that was in front is now out to the side. And we're leaning on our other hand over here. So same thing here, guys. Hands twisting to thread through that gap. Nice big belly breath, and then returning to the front. Last one here, guys. One more. Beautiful. All right, guys. It is 5 o'clock, which means I'm all out of time for this first rendition of the abs and core class. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly enjoy doing stuff like this. And I can't wait for next week so we can really get into the weeds. We're going to start to do a lot of exploration, a lot of good, fun stuff. Healthy for all areas of the body in this abs and core class. So I hope you guys will join me next time. Take care out there. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Stay safe. And I will see you guys next time.
Thank you. That was nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job, you guys. Good
Yeah.
job. Thank you guys for joining me.
Good
Take
fun.
care.
It was fun.